Taemin floated through the empty corridors of the old space station. His breathing mask made soft sounds in the silence. The station had been dead for over 200 years, but the Corvin High Command wanted to know what secrets it might hold. The young diplomat pushed himself along the metal walls. His gloves touched strange markings carved deep into the surface. These were not Corvin symbols. They were not from any known alien race either. Taemin had studied alien languages for most of his life, but these marks were different. He turned on his translation device and pointed it at the wall. The machine made confused beeping sounds. After a few moments, words appeared on the small screen. Taemin read them and felt cold fear run through his body. Warning. We are going home. We are sorry for what we did. Do not follow us. We need time to think about our actions. Below that message, more words were carved into the metal. From Earth, the blue world. Third planet from a yellow star. We will not return. Taemin had heard stories about humans since he was a small child. Every species in the galaxy knew about them. They were the monsters that came from nowhere. They had burned worlds and killed billions of beings. Then, just as quickly as they appeared, they vanished. That was 300 years ago. The galaxy had never forgotten. The Galactic Council kept huge fleets ready to fight if humans ever returned. Children across 1,000 worlds learned to fear the name human before they could walk properly. But this message was strange. Humans saying sorry? Humans showing regret? That did not match the stories Taemin knew. He took pictures of the markings and moved deeper into the station. In what looked like a control room, he found more human writing. This time, the words were different to whoever finds this. We know what people think of us. We know they say we are killers and destroyers. We want you to know that we are going home. We will not hurt anyone else. Please tell the galaxy we are sorry. Taemin stared at the words for a long time. These did not sound like the words of monsters. They sounded sad and tired. They sounded like people who had made terrible mistakes and wanted to fix them. Meanwhile, on a small blue planet far from the old space station, Professor Sora walked through the ancient caves near Seoul. She was looking for old human writing, the kind that told stories about the past. But what she found in these caves was very strange. The writing on the cave walls was not old. The stone looked fresh, as if someone had carved the words recently. But the language was ancient, older than any human civilization Sora knew about. She read the symbols carefully. They talked about stars and space travel. They mentioned other worlds and alien beings. But humans had never traveled to other worlds. Earth's technology could barely reach the moon properly. Sora took pictures and hurried back to her university. She needed to study these symbols more carefully. In her small office, she compared them to every ancient language she knew. Nothing matched exactly, but some parts looked familiar. The strange symbols appeared to be directions. They pointed to specific stars and gave exact distances. They described alien races and their homeworlds. But how could ancient humans know about such things? Dr. Wu Jin worked at Earth's Deep Space Communications Array. The huge radio dishes had been built 50 years ago to listen for messages from space. But they had found nothing except silence. Most people thought the project was a waste of money. Wu Jin had given up hope of finding alien signals long ago. He spent his days maintaining the equipment and filing boring reports. Nobody important read his reports anymore. The government had almost forgotten about the project. But lately, strange things had been happening. The radio dishes were picking up signals from deep space. The signals were not natural sounds like those made by stars or planets. They sounded like messages, but they were too complex for Wu Jin to understand. He had recorded hours of these signals over the past few months. The messages seemed to be coming from many different places in the galaxy. Some signals were stronger than others, but they all had one thing in common. They were all directed at Earth. Wu Jin did not know what the messages said, but he could tell they were important. The aliens sending these signals were using a lot of power. That meant they really wanted Earth to receive their messages. The problem was that Earth had no way to translate alien languages. The radio array could receive the signals, but understanding them was impossible. Wu Jin had suggested hiring linguists and code breakers, but his bosses said it was too expensive. Sora found more caves with the strange writing. Each cave told a different part of the same story. Humans had apparently traveled to the stars long ago. They had fought great wars against alien races. They had conquered many worlds, but the writing also talked about guilt and shame. The ancient humans seemed sorry for what they had done. The final caves contained maps showing the way back to Earth. The last message was clear. We are coming home. We will never leave again. But this made no sense. Humans had never left Earth. There were no records of space travel beyond the solar system. There were no stories about galactic wars. Human history was well documented, and none of it mentioned aliens or distant worlds. Sora wondered if someone was playing a complex joke. But the writing was too detailed and too consistent. It would have taken years to create such an elaborate fake history. Taemin returned to the Corvin homeworld with his pictures and reports. His commanders studied the human messages from the old space station. The military leaders were confused and worried. "This does not match what we know about humans," Admiral Jinne said. "Humans do not apologize. They do not show regret. They kill and destroy and move on to the next target." But Taemin had found something else in the station's computer systems. Hidden in the damaged memory banks were star charts and navigation records. The charts showed routes between human-controlled worlds. But the destinations were strange. Many of the worlds on the charts had been destroyed by humans according to galactic history. But the navigation records showed regular peaceful trade missions to those same worlds. The records talked about cultural exchanges and diplomatic meetings. Either the computer records were wrong, or the history books were wrong. Taemin did not know which possibility was more frightening. Back on Earth, Wu Jin made a decision that would change everything. He had been listening to the alien signals for months without trying to understand them, but Sora's discovery of the strange cave writings gave him an idea. What if the alien signals were not random messages? What if they were responses to something? What if aliens had been trying to talk to Earth for a very long time? Wu Jin decided to finally do what the radio array was built for. He would try to answer the aliens. Even if he could not understand their language, he could let them know that Earth was listening. He sent a simple mathematical signal toward the strongest source of alien messages. It was just basic numbers and patterns, but it clearly came from an intelligent source. If aliens were really trying to contact Earth, they would recognize the response. 3 days later, the alien signals changed completely. Instead of the complex messages Wu Jin had been recording, the signals became simple and repetitive. The aliens were sending the same mathematical patterns back to Earth, but with small changes. They were trying to teach Earth their language. Wu Jin stared at the computer screen in disbelief. After 3 weeks of mathematical exchanges, the aliens had taught Earth enough of their language to send a real message. What he read made his hands shake. "Greetings to the human empire. We are the Corvin Republic. We surrender unconditionally. Please do not destroy our remaining colonies. We will pay any tribute you demand. Our children beg for mercy." The message was followed by detailed star charts showing Corvin territory and lists of resources they were willing to give to humans. At the bottom was a date. The message had been sent just 2 days ago. Wu Jin ran to find Sora. The professor had been working with his team for the past week, helping to decode the alien language systems. She was in the university library, surrounded by books about ancient languages and communication theory. "Sora, you need to see this," Wu Jin said, showing her the translated message on his portable computer. Sora read the message twice. "This cannot be real. Humans have never had an empire. We have never even met aliens before now. But the message is clear," Wu Jin said. "These Corvins think we are their enemies. They think we have been fighting them." Sora looked at the cave writings she had been studying. The ancient symbols suddenly made more sense. What if these cave markings are not from the past? What if someone has been pretending to be human for hundreds of years? Over the next few days, more alien messages arrived. Each one was more desperate than the last. The Zephyrian Federation offered to become human slaves in exchange for survival. The Mantari Collective sent detailed plans of their military defenses and begged humans not to use the information against them. Dr. Hyun-woo joined the team as Earth's only xenobiologist. His job was to study the biological information in the alien messages. What he found was disturbing. "These aliens are terrified," Hyun-woo said. "The biological data shows they are under constant stress. Their population numbers are dropping on every world. They are acting like prey animals hiding from a predator." The team set up a proper translation center in the radio array building. More linguists and scientists arrived to help decode the thousands of alien messages Earth was receiving. As they translated more communications, a horrible picture began to form. For 300 years, someone calling themselves human had been attacking alien civilizations across the galaxy. The fake humans had destroyed entire worlds and wiped out species. They had built a massive empire through fear and violence. Dao-Yun arrived from the Korean Military Academy. Her job was to analyze the tactical information in the alien messages. The military data painted a picture of human forces that were impossibly advanced and completely ruthless. According to these reports, human fleets appear without warning and destroy everything in their path, Dao-Yun explained to the team. But the technology described here is far beyond anything we have on Earth. These ships can travel faster than light and carry weapons that can crack planets in half. Sora had been comparing the alien descriptions of humans to actual human biology. The physical descriptions do not match either. The aliens describe humans as being much taller and stronger than we actually are. They also mention humans having enhanced healing abilities and improved reflexes. The most disturbing messages came from a species called the Dravak. These aliens had been fighting the fake humans longer than anyone else. Their messages contained detailed battle reports and intelligence about human tactics. The human strategy never changes, one Dravak message explained. They study their target for months. They learn everything about the species: biology, culture, military capabilities, psychological weaknesses. Then they attack at the moment when resistance will be lowest. But buried in the Dravak intelligence reports was something interesting. The fake humans never used original technology. Every weapon, every ship design, every tactical approach had been stolen from other species and improved upon. They are copycats, Hyunwoo realized. Whoever is pretending to be human does not create new things. They just take existing ideas and make them more deadly. The team decided to send a message back to the aliens. It was risky, but they needed to let the galaxy know that real humans were peaceful. Sora composed a simple message explaining that Earth had never left its solar system and had never attacked anyone. The response was immediate and angry. Messages flooded in from dozens of species accusing Earth of lying. They sent pictures of destroyed worlds and lists of billions of dead aliens. They demanded to know why humans were pretending to be innocent. One message from Admiral Jin A of the Corvin Fleet was particularly harsh. Do not insult our intelligence with lies. We have fought your kind for 2 centuries. We have seen your cruelty firsthand. If you want to negotiate, be honest about what you have done. Wu Jin realized they needed proof that Earth was telling the truth. He sent the aliens detailed information about human technology and biology. He showed them Earth's primitive space capabilities and peaceful history. Most species rejected the evidence. They had been fighting fake humans for too long to believe that real humans might be different. But a few younger alien scientists began to ask questions. Taemin was one of them. The Corvin diplomat had been studying the human messages from Earth and comparing them to intelligence reports about human attacks. The differences were huge. The humans contacting us use simple technology and basic mathematics, Taemin reported to his superiors. But the humans who attacked our colonies used advanced physics and complex battle strategies. Either they are lying about their capabilities, or these are not the same humans. Meanwhile, Sora made a frightening discovery in the newest cave writings. The symbols were changing daily, as if someone was updating them with fresh information. The most recent writing contained detailed maps of Earth's solar system and descriptions of human military capabilities. Someone is watching us, she told the team. Whoever has been impersonating humans knows that we are talking to the aliens. They are gathering information about Earth. The situation became urgent when Hyunwoo decoded a message that was not meant for Earth. It was a communication between fake human commanders discussing their next target. Phase 7 is ready for implementation, the message said. Earth has been located. The original species must be eliminated to maintain operational security. Prepare the cleansing fleet. Dayan calculated the travel time based on the alien fleet movements mentioned in previous messages. If they left from the nearest reported human base, they will reach Earth in 6 months, she said. The team worked frantically to convince the galaxy that Earth was innocent. They sent everything they could: historical records, genetic samples, cultural artifacts, and detailed explanations of human peaceful intentions. Some aliens began to listen. A few species started sharing intelligence about the fake human empire. The information revealed something shocking. The fake humans had never actually colonized any worlds. They attacked, destroyed, and moved on. They had no permanent bases and no civilian population. They were not building an empire. They were systematically destroying one. They are not conquerors, Taman realized. They are exterminators. Their goal is not to rule the galaxy. Their goal is to empty it. The evidence suggested that the fake humans were actually a different species entirely. They had chosen human appearance because it was effective for intimidation, but they had no connection to Earth. But convincing the galaxy would take time, and time was running out. The cleansing fleet was coming to destroy Earth and eliminate the evidence that humans were not monsters. Wu Jin made a desperate decision. He activated every communication dish on Earth and broadcast a message to every alien species simultaneously. The message was simple. Help us prove we are innocent and we will help you stop the real monsters. The response surprised everyone. Species that had been enemies for centuries began working together to investigate Earth's claims. They started sharing intelligence and comparing notes about human attacks. What they found changed everything they thought they knew about the 300-year war. The breakthrough came from an unexpected place. Dr. Sang-wook had been studying human attack patterns for 20 years on the research station orbiting Kepler 442b. Everyone in the galaxy called him the expert on human warfare. But when he read Earth's messages, something bothered him. The humans who attacked us were too perfect, he told his assistant Hei-wan. They never made mistakes. They never got angry. They never did anything we did not expect. Hei-wan looked confused. But that is what made them so dangerous. Sang-wook shook his head. No, real people make mistakes. They get emotional. They surprise you sometimes. But these humans always did exactly what our computer models predicted they would do. He had recordings of hundreds of human attacks from across the galaxy. When he studied them carefully, he found something strange. The humans always used the same exact approach when attacking the same type of planet. They never changed their methods based on what they learned from previous battles. They are not learning from experience, Sang-wook realized. They are just following the same instructions over and over. On Earth, Sora had found something similar in the cave writings. The symbols were becoming more detailed every day, but they were also becoming less accurate. The newest carvings described human weapons that did not exist and human abilities that were impossible. Whoever is making these symbols does not really understand us, she explained to Wu Jin. They are watching us from far away and guessing about things they cannot see clearly. Wu Jin had been analyzing the fake human communications for weeks. Something felt wrong about the way they talked. Every message from every human ship sounded exactly the same. The language was perfect, but it had no personality. Real people have different ways of speaking, he told Da-un. Some talk fast, some talk slow. Some use big words, some use simple words. But all these human messages sound like they came from the same person. The first real proof came when Earth convinced the Corvins to let them examine a piece of a human weapon. Admiral Jin-ae had been keeping fragments from a destroyed human fighter in her personal collection. She finally agreed to share them with Earth's scientists. Bo-ram led the team that studied the weapon fragments. What they discovered changed everything. The technology was not human at all. It was pieces from 6 different alien civilizations put together like a puzzle. This weapon has Corvin energy cells, Zephyrian computer chips, and Mentari metal alloys, Bo-ram reported. But whoever built it did not understand how any of these parts actually work. They just copied the designs and stuck them together. The most important discovery came from the weapon's targeting system. It contained biological data about the pilot who had used it. The genetic information showed human appearance, but the DNA was completely wrong. Hyun-woo compared the alien DNA to human genetic patterns. This pilot looked human on the outside, but inside they were completely different, he announced. Their bones were wrong, their muscles were wrong, and their brain was different from any human who ever lived. The evidence was clear. Someone had been copying human appearance while stealing technology from other aliens to build weapons. But who were they really? Taman found the answer in an old Dravak library that had been hidden for centuries. Deep in the archives, he discovered records about a species called the Dravak. According to the ancient files, they were parasites who survived by copying other civilizations. The old records described how the Dravak worked. They would study a target species for years, learning everything about how they looked and acted. Then they would replace important people and slowly take over entire worlds from the inside. But something was different this time, Taemin explained to the research team. Instead of slowly taking over human civilization, they decided to use human appearance as a disguise for attacking everyone else. Sora had figured out why they chose humans. 300 years ago, humans were developing technology very quickly. We had nuclear weapons, space rockets, and powerful computers. To aliens watching from space, we probably looked like we would become dangerous soon. The Dravik had made a smart plan. They could conquer the galaxy while making sure that real humans would be blamed for everything. When Earth finally developed space travel, every alien species would attack us immediately. It was perfect, Dawn said. They could destroy everyone while making sure humans could never make friends with other species. But the plan had one big weakness. The Dravik could only copy things they had seen before. They could not create new ideas or invent original solutions. This limitation had kept them from winning completely, but it also made their attacks predictable. Captain Minho returned from his investigation of the supposed human bases with disturbing news. He had taken Earth's first interstellar ship to visit several locations mentioned in alien military reports. The bases are empty, he told the Earth Command Center. Not just abandoned, empty. There are no kitchens, no bathrooms, no sleeping areas. These places were never meant for people to live in. Minho had discovered something else at the bases. Huge factories that were designed to create more Dravik shapeshifters. The fake humans were not just copying human appearance. They were making thousands of copies of themselves. Each factory can build 1,000 new Dravik every year, Minho explained. They have been doing this for 300 years. There could be millions of fake humans by now. The situation became urgent when Earth's telescopes detected massive movements near the solar system. The Dravik were bringing their entire fleet to attack Earth. They knew their lies were being discovered, and they wanted to destroy the evidence before more aliens learned the truth. But Earth was no longer alone. Several alien species had started believing Earth's claims of innocence. They began sharing their technology and offering military support. Admiral Ginny arrived at Earth with a fleet of Corvin warships. "We have been fighting the wrong enemy for 300 years, she admitted to Earth's leaders. Now we want to fight the real enemy. The Zephyrians sent their fastest ships. The Mentari provided their best weapons. Even the Dravik, who had fought the fake humans longest, offered to help Earth. But there was a problem. These alien species had been enemies with each other for centuries. Their ships used different technologies, their weapons were incompatible, and their commanders did not trust each other. Earth came up with an unusual solution. Instead of trying to force all the aliens to fight the same way, they suggested something different. Everyone should keep doing what they do best, Wu Jin proposed. We will just help you coordinate with each other. It was not a traditional military alliance. It was more like a science project with weapons. Earth would study how the Dravik fought and suggest ways each alien species could use their own strengths most effectively. The first test came when Dravik scouts approached Jupiter. Instead of fighting them directly, the Alliance followed Earth's advice to observe them carefully. They recorded everything about how the scouts moved, fought, and communicated. Now we understand how they really operate, Sora announced after studying the battle data, and more importantly, we know what they cannot do. The Dravik scouts had followed exact patterns from their previous attacks against each species. They had not adapted their tactics for fighting multiple species at the same time. They were still using old strategies instead of creating new ones. They are still just copying, Hyunwoo realized. Even when the situation changes, they keep using the same old approaches. Earth now had 6 months to prepare for the main Dravik invasion. 6 months to unite species that had been enemies for centuries. 6 months to prove that cooperation could beat conquest. But they also had something the Dravik did not expect. While the military alliance was forming, Earth had been sending messages to every species in the galaxy, not just the ones who believed them, but also the ones who still thought humans were monsters. "We are not asking you to trust us," Earth's message said. "We are asking you to come and see for yourself. Watch the battle. Decide with your own eyes who is really telling the truth." Species from across the galaxy began sending observer ships toward Earth's solar system. They wanted to witness the final battle between humans and aliens. They wanted to see once and for all who were the real monsters. When the Dravik fleet finally arrived, they would find something they had never faced before. Not just Earth defending itself, but representatives from almost every intelligent species in the galaxy watching to see what would happen. The shapeshifters had spent 3 centuries dividing the galaxy through fear and lies. But Earth had done something in just 6 months that no one thought was possible. They had brought the galaxy together. The first joint training exercise was a disaster. Corvin ships crashed into Zephyrian formations while Mantari weapons accidentally targeted their own allies. After 3 hours of chaos, Admiral Jinneh called for a break. "This is impossible," she told the Earth coordination team. "Our species have been fighting each other for too long. We cannot work together." Sora had been watching the exercise from Earth's command center. She had an idea that seemed crazy, but it might work. What if we do not try to fight like one big army? What if each species does what they do best, but in a way that helps everyone else? The humans had spent weeks learning about each alien species, not just their military capabilities, but their cultures, their psychology, and their natural talents. What they found was fascinating. Corvin pilots were naturally cautious and analytical. They never took unnecessary risks, and they always had backup plans. Zephyrian crews were artists who saw battle patterns like paintings. They could predict enemy movements by reading the flow of combat. Mantari warriors were pack hunters who worked best in small, coordinated groups. Instead of forcing everyone to fight the same way, we should help each species fight their own way better, Yunwu suggested. The humans redesigned the entire battle strategy around this idea. Corvin ships became the defensive backbone, using their careful planning to protect the fleet. Zephyrian squadrons became scouts and predictors, using their pattern recognition to anticipate enemy moves. Mantari units became strike teams, hitting specific targets with precise coordination. Earth's role was to be the nervous system connecting all the different parts. Human communication experts would relay information between species and suggest ways each group could help the others. The second training exercise was completely different. Instead of trying to copy each other, each species focused on their strengths while Earth helped them coordinate. The results were impressive. "We are not fighting like one species," Taemin observed. "We are fighting like a completely new kind of organism. Each part is different, but they all work together." Boram had been studying the Dravek technology captured from various battlefields. What she found gave the Alliance a crucial advantage. The shapeshifters had a fatal weakness in their copying strategy. They can only use technology they have seen before, she explained to the engineering teams. "If we create something completely new, something that has never existed before, they will not know how to counter it." Working with alien engineers, Boram began developing hybrid technologies that combined ideas from multiple species in ways that had never been tried. Corvin shields powered by Zephyrian energy cores, Mantari weapons guided by human targeting computers, Dravek sensors enhanced with Earth's communication systems. The Dravek had never faced anything like these hybrid systems. Their copied databases contained information about each technology separately, but not about how they work together. Da-Yun made another important discovery while analyzing battle reports from the past 3 centuries. The Dravek had one predictable weakness. They always attacked in the same sequence. First, they study the target for several months, she explained. Then they attack the military forces. Then they destroy the government centers. Finally, they eliminate the civilian population. They have used this exact pattern for every conquest, but the pattern assumed they were fighting one species at a time. The Alliance represented something the Dravek had never encountered. Multiple species working together as a single force. Their battle plans are designed to fight. Corvins or Zephyrians or Mantari, Da-Yun realized, but they have no plans for fighting all of us at once. While the military alliance was forming, Sora made a discovery that changed how Earth understood the conflict. The cave writings had stopped appearing, but something new had started. Dravek ships were sending signals toward Earth, not messages, but scanning beams. "They are studying us," she told Wujin, "the same way they studied their other targets before attacking." But Earth was studying them back. Every scan the Dravek sent was analyzed and recorded. Gradually, Earth scientists began to understand how Dravek shapeshifting technology worked. The shapeshifters were not magical. They used advanced nanotechnology to alter their cellular structure, but the technology had limits. They could copy appearance and basic behaviors, but they could not replicate complex thought patterns or emotional responses. "They are perfect actors, but terrible improvisers," Hyunwoo concluded. "If we can force them into situations they have not prepared for, they will not know how to respond." This weakness became the foundation of Earth's battle strategy. Instead of fighting the Dravik in predictable ways, the Alliance would constantly do unexpected things. They would force the shapeshifters to improvise, something their copying nature made almost impossible. Captain Min-ho tested this theory during a patrol mission near Jupiter. His mixed crew of humans and aliens encountered a small Dravik scouting force. Instead of attacking immediately, they did something the Dravik had never seen before. They offered to surrender, then started a casual conversation about Dravik culture and history. The shapeshifters were completely confused. Their databases had no protocol for handling curious enemies who wanted to chat. The Dravik ships just sat there for 20 minutes, Min-ho reported. Their commanders were probably trying to access files that did not exist. Finally, they just left without fighting. News of this encounter spread quickly through both the Alliance and the Dravik fleet. The shapeshifters began modifying their behavior, trying to prepare for unpredictable human actions. But this created a new problem for them. The more they tried to prepare for human unpredictability, the more they had to improvise their own responses. And improvisation was exactly what they were worst at. Ginny noticed the change during the next Dravik scout encounter. "They are hesitating," she reported. "Their response time is getting slower. They are thinking too much instead of following their programmed patterns." Earth's strategy was working. The Alliance was forcing the Dravik to abandon their greatest strength, their ability to perfectly copy successful strategies. But the main Dravik fleet was still approaching. Long-range sensors showed thousands of ships moving toward Earth's solar system. The shapeshifters were bringing their entire military force for the final battle. The Alliance had grown to include 17 different species. For the first time in galactic history, former enemies were working together toward a common goal, but they were still outnumbered 10-1. Earth had one more surprise for the Dravik. While the military alliance had been training, human diplomats had been contacting every species in the galaxy. Not just the ones who believed Earth's innocence, but also the ones who still thought humans were monsters. "We are not asking you to trust us," Earth's message said. "We are asking you to verify the evidence for yourself. Send observers to watch the battle, see who is really fighting whom." The response surprised everyone. Even species that hated humans sent observer ships to Earth's solar system. They wanted to see the truth with their own eyes. When the Dravik fleet arrived, they found something they had never encountered before. Instead of facing a single species defending one world, they were confronting representatives from almost every intelligent civilization in the galaxy. The final battle was about to begin. But for the first time in 3 centuries, the Dravik were not fighting confused and isolated enemies. They were facing a united galaxy that finally understood who the real monsters were. And at the center of it all was a small blue world, whose greatest weapon was not technology or firepower, but an unshakable belief that different species could work together if they just took the time to understand each other. The Dravik fleet arrived at Earth's solar system expecting to find a single terrified world waiting for destruction. Instead, they found the largest gathering of alien species in galactic history. Ships from 67 different civilizations floated in formation around Earth, Mars, and the outer planets. Admiral Sang-wook commanded the Dravik forces from his flagship. For 3 centuries, he had been the perfect copy of a human military leader. He had studied human tactical manuals and copied human behavior patterns. But now he faced something his databases had never recorded: humans working peacefully with their supposed enemies. "This is not possible," he told his bridge crew. "Humans do not cooperate. They conquer or they destroy. They do not make friends." But his sensors showed the truth. Human ships were flying alongside Corvan vessels. Zephyrian pilots were sharing communication channels with Mentari warriors. Every species that should have been fighting each other was instead working together. Wu Jin had prepared for this moment. From Earth's communication center, he activated every broadcasting system on the planet. His message went out simultaneously to the Dravik fleet and to every observer ship in the solar system. "We know who you really are," Earth's message said. "We know you are not human. We know you have been lying to the galaxy for 300 years. But we are not here to fight you. We are here to offer you something you have never had before: the truth about yourselves." The message confused Sang-wook. He had expected threats or surrender demands. He had not expected humans to want to talk. Sora continued the broadcast. "You call yourselves Dravik, but you have forgotten what that means. You have spent so long copying other species that you do not remember your own identity. We want to help you find out who you really are." For the first time in centuries, Sang-wook hesitated. His programming told him to attack, but the human offer was something he had no prepared response for. The Dravik had databases full of military strategies, but no information about peaceful negotiation. The broadcast continued with something unprecedented. Earth was sharing everything they had learned about Dravik biology, culture, and technology, not as a threat but as a gift. "Your species was originally designed to be perfect problem solvers," Hyunwoo's voice came through the transmission. "You could adapt to any environment and find solutions to any challenge. But somewhere in your history you forgot how to create. You only learned how to copy." The information Earth shared painted a picture of what the Dravik had been before they became shape-shifting conquerors. They had been explorers and inventors, a species that traveled between worlds to share knowledge and solve problems. The copying was supposed to be temporary, Sora explained. You were meant to learn from other species and then combine those ideas into something new. But something went wrong. You got stuck in copying mode and forgot how to move to the creation phase. Sang-wook found himself listening to the broadcast instead of ordering an attack. The information about original Dravik culture was fascinating. It described abilities and achievements that his people had lost long ago. But other Dravik commanders were becoming agitated. "This is a trick," they said. "Humans are trying to confuse us with lies about our past." "How do we know it is lies?" Sang-wook asked. "We have no records of our original culture. We only know what we learned from copying other species." The question sparked something that had never happened in Dravik society: a debate. For the first time in centuries, Dravik were disagreeing with each other about something that was not tactical planning. Earth continued the broadcast with practical demonstrations. Human engineers showed how they had combined technologies from different alien species to create completely new inventions. They were doing what the Dravik were supposed to do, using copied knowledge as a foundation for original creation. "We learned this from studying you," Boram announced. "Your technology showed us how different species' ideas could work together. But you stopped at the copying phase. We continued to the creation phase. Some Dravik ships began moving away from the main fleet. Their commanders wanted to hear more about Earth's discoveries. They were curious about the creativity they had lost. But Sang-wook and the hardline commanders prepared for battle. They could not accept that their entire way of life had been based on an incomplete understanding of their own nature. The battle began with a surprise. The Alliance did not fight back. Instead of returning fire, the combined fleet scattered in all directions. But they were not retreating, they were demonstrating. Each species group performed maneuvers that showcased their unique abilities, while Earth's communication systems provided running commentary. "The Corvins are showing defensive formations that have kept their species safe for millennia," Dion narrated. "The Zephyrians are displaying movement patterns based on their understanding of cosmic harmonics. The Mantari are demonstrating pack hunting techniques refined over millions of years of evolution." It was not a battle. It was a galaxy-wide show-and-tell session. Each species was sharing what made them special, while Earth helped everyone understand and appreciate the differences. The observer ships from neutral species began broadcasting their own commentary. They were seeing cooperation between species that had been enemies for centuries. They were watching former victims and former aggressors working together. Some Dravik commanders stopped fighting to watch the demonstrations. They had never seen such diversity of approaches to the same problems. For shapeshifters who were used to copying single solutions, the variety was overwhelming. "Look at all the different ways they solve the same challenges," one young Dravik officer said to Sang-wook. "We could learn from all of them and then combine the ideas into something completely new." "That is not how we work," Sang-wook replied. "We copy the best solution and use it. But how do we know which solution is best if we do not try combining them?" The officer asked. It was a question that struck at the heart of Dravik philosophy. They had always assumed that copying the best single approach was optimal. They had never considered that combining multiple approaches might produce something better. Earth's final broadcast came from an unexpected source. Taemin, the young Corvin diplomat who had first discovered the truth about the fake humans, spoke directly to the Dravik fleet. 300 years ago you made a choice, he said. You decided that conquest was easier than cooperation. You chose to take what you wanted instead of learning how to create it yourselves, but it is not too late to make a different choice. The message was personal rather than military. Taman talked about his own species' mistakes and how they had learned from them. He shared stories of cooperation and growth that came from working with former enemies. We are not asking you to surrender, Taman concluded. We are asking you to remember who you were meant to be. The response split the Dravik fleet. Some ships, led by younger officers who were curious about their origins, broke away from the main force. They approached the Alliance ships with communication signals rather than weapons, but Sang-Wook and the older commanders could not accept the change. They had built their identities around being superior through copying. The idea that they had been doing it wrong was too threatening to consider. The final battle was brief. The hardline Dravik attacked with all their copied strategies and stolen technologies, but the Alliance was ready for them. Every tactic the Dravik used had been developed by one of the Alliance species originally. They knew how to counter their own inventions. More importantly, the Alliance used strategies the Dravik had never seen. Combinations of techniques from multiple species working together. The shapeshifters had no database entries for such cooperation. Within hours, the hardline Dravik fleet was defeated. Some commanders surrendered, others fled to deep space. But the most important outcome was not military. The Dravik who had chosen to listen to Earth's message began working with Alliance scientists to rediscover their original culture. They found that their shape-shifting abilities were just one part of a complex biological system designed for adaptation and innovation. We can still copy, one reformed Dravik explained to Sora, but now we also remember how to create. We had forgotten that copying was supposed to be the first step, not the final goal. 6 months later, Earth hosted the first Galactic Cooperation Summit. Representatives from 83 species gathered to share knowledge and discuss peaceful solutions to interstellar problems. Sora, now Earth's first galactic ambassador, opened the summit with a simple message. We are sorry we are late to the conversation. What did we miss? The response was 3 days of presentations about alien cultures, technologies, and philosophies that humans had never imagined. But more importantly, it was the beginning of real communication between species that had been isolated by fear for centuries. The old space station where Taman had first found human messages became a symbol of the new galactic community. The warning messages carved into its walls were replaced with welcoming greetings in dozens of languages. Earth's deep space communication array, once used to listen for alien signals in the silence, now coordinated constant conversations between worlds. Wu Jin had gone from monitoring empty space to managing the busiest communication hub in the galaxy. The galaxy had learned an important lesson.